Welcome to the introduction to my drawing course, Form. We'll be looking at tone, we'll be looking at pattern, also at the quality of line, and we will finish with colour and bring everything together from the 4 weeks. I'll take you through everything in just a second, but one of the most important things about this course is that it will be everything that I use. So not just things that you find that you can look online for, but it will be a journey through the way that I use each of these different aspects of making form and making work. So I hope you enjoy. Welcome to the example demonstration drawing. To turn the pastel sideways and just block in some general placement of facial shapes, just marking in the hand there, and not really committing too much, so that's why I turned the pastel on the side to block that in. Just putting a little bit of tone in there. That was the reflected light on the left side of the face. So here we have the basic shapes, just again putting some tone into the hair, just pulling the face forward and just giving the shape to the hand and the chin there. So the pastels that I'm using are soft pastels, and you can see my selection just on the side. It's a good idea to choose mid-tone, to choose a dark tone, and to choose a lighter tone. So I normally do this at the beginning stage when I do studies before. You can see that the paper that I'm using is a mid-tone paper anyway. So if I use darks, then I already have a mid-tone. On the side of the nose, I've put a light tone in there. So we've got a pink, which quite nicely
pulls that nose out from the surface of the paper. Very highly saturated, strong intensity orange, which I will keep that way for the moment. I'm just locking in the hand shape. Hands always a bit tricky, but I want to contrast the light of the fingers against the dark kinds. Compositionally interesting to have that sort of triangle formed by the fingers going up into the face. So it's a nice compositional device. It's putting a bit more dark into the hair, and you can see I'm using a pastel brush, a soft pastel brush. It's got a very short hair bristle to the top of it, and it just works to soften and blend. You can do that with your fingers. Just going in and just putting the line where the dark meets the light, just across the bridge of the nose. Again, just leaving those midtones as much as possible. The idea is to keep the midtones for the flesh. I know it's blue, but I'm going to give some hint of her skin color toward the end. So very much just leaving those at the moment. So I've mapped the darks. Also put some of the highlights in as well. Put some more highlights in shortly. Just working my way around the lips, trying to give a bit of definition. Too much. So just taking some of that out. Feel free to use an eraser. Just be careful with the eraser because it can leave marks. You can see my choice. It's a really good idea to have a sheet, like a scrap paper, recycled paper, to the side, and you could also do it the same color, the same tone as the paper, just so you can see what marks you're going to make. You can test the marks you're going to make before you then do the piece. It just saves any having to go back or making mistakes because the mark wasn't right, the color or the tone wasn't right. Just beginning to put in some of those slightly lighter tones, picking out the forehead and the cheek. At the beginning of the drawing, I didn't spend too much time measuring. You can, but this was more of a focus on form, not trying to get a realistic impression of the original. We're just looking at shape and tone and just pushing certain areas back and pulling other areas forward. Just marking those fingers in. There are some slight lines, but I don't want too much detail in those fingers. I want all of the attention to go into change between the light and the areas of shadow, in fact reflected light, and that contour line between the light of her cheek and then the reflected light going toward her hair. You can see I'm not putting too much dark into the top of the hair, just trying to keep the attention around the middle of the composition. It's just a device you can use, and there's a bit more detail going into that left eye. I don't want too much attention going into the other eye, so not putting too much detail, too much contrast into the other eye. Areas of contrast, as you might know, always attract the eye. So I'm keeping the contrast in the left eye and that area between the hair going down into the cheek. So hopefully everything comes in at the bottom through those triangles and up around, and then we're just building that volume around the side of the cheek. Just putting some darks around the edge where the shadow meets the light. There's normally a slightly darker tone, and then it becomes a little bit more saturated again. So, finishing into the eyes. Committed with shape, just keeping things fairly light. Up until this point, the good thing about using soft pastel is that you can keep things fairly light. Then you can put in stronger, more contrasting areas when general shapes start to come together and the relationships between shapes start to need definition. So just keeping everything fairly soft, fairly subtle for quite a long time. See some dark going in under the lips, but I don't want to put too much dark in under there. So it's not going to be my darkest dark. The darkest dark is going to be sort of around the eyes and toward the side of her hair where it's visible. There was quite a lot of texture, quite a lot of pastel on the surface, so I just used, again, just that brush to soften that and just make the texture a little bit more consistent. Just working up some of the. I'm just going to put some light in around the top of the head against the dark to try and bring that head forward. And see, going in here are some slightly more saturated colors, just making the cheek a little bit more subtle, and some leading lines, some leading shapes on the back of the hand, just to soften the hand, and allow the eye to travel up into the composition. We can see those darks going in around the eye, set against the more those warmer peachy pinks at the side of the face, just by her eye. There's a glow to her hair just next to that. So that is with a quite a bright brown. And just working some of those highlights against those darks. I think we're coming up to almost done. Just putting some blues in to help those shadows recede a little bit. And there we go. We are done. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoy.